There you are, recording na.
Education is one of the blessings of life and one of its necessities. Dear sisters and brothers, dear fellow children, we must work, not wait. Not just the politicians and the world leaders. We all need to contribute. Me, you, we. It is our duty. We realize the importance of light when we see darkness. We realize the importance of our voice when we are silenced. In the same way, when we were in Swat, the north of Pakistan, we realized the importance of pens and books when we saw the guns. Why is it that countries which we call strong are so powerful in creating wars but are so weak in bringing peace? Why is it? Why is it that giving guns is so easy, but giving books is so hard? Why is it? Why is it that making tanks is so easy, but building schools is so hard? One child, one teacher, one book, and one pen can change the world. Education is the only solution. Education first. Thank you.
Good morning po, Karen.
Ayan, a pleasant day to each and everyone. Am I audible po?
Yes po.
Thank you so much. Ayan. Siyempre, gusto ko muna humingi ng sorry, no? Kasi naka-face mask ako since nandito ako sa labas kasi baka magkaroon ng technical problem kapag sa loob ako nag-webinar. Ayan, so, again, good morning everyone. And before we start, allow me to introduce ourselves. I am Karen Ann C. Penton.
And I am Kiana Jell LOPEZ.
And we are your Master of Ceremony for today. So to officially start our program, please turn off your mic and pay respect as
Okay, so my partner seems to have a technical problem. So, to formally start our program, may we request everyone to turn off your mic and pay respect as we have our prayer and national anthem.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Ayan, isang magandang araw po muli sa ating lahat. Isang magandang araw at good morning po sa atin lahat. And sorry po pala sa mga technical difficulties na nangyari. And ayan po, handa na ba tayong lahat? Patingin niyo ako ng mga reactions niyo dyan, ng mga heart reactions niyo, kung handang-handa na ba tayo makinig at matuto. Ayan, nakikita ko na mga heart reactions nila. Thank you so much po sa inyo mga papuso, no? And ikaw ba, partner, handa ka na ba makinig at matuto?
Yes naman, partner. Syempre, super excited
Ayan.
na
Tingin ko,
bagong
yes.
matutunan ngayong araw.
Ayan, thank you so much, partner. Ako din, no, handang-handa na ako makinig at matuto. Kaya naman, hindi na natin to papatagalin pa. Kung medyo naglalag kayo, kasi syempre, di ba, ang internet talaga natin, hindi natin sure kung kailan magiging stable or not. Pwede nyo naman mapanood ang replay ng ating webinar dahil i-upload to sa ating YouTube channel. And anyway, hindi mabobuo ang webinar kung walang topic. Kaya naman, ang pag-uusapan natin ngayon ay tungkol sa social science theories and their implications to education. And kung may topic, syempre, meron din tayong speaker. Ayan. So, allow me to introduce our speaker for today. Our speaker for today is a very fine lady from San Antonio, Nueva Ecija, and she graduated as a batch valedictorian during her junior high school at San Francisco National High School. And hindi lang yon. She also graduated as with high honors during her senior high school during her oh my gosh. Sorry po. And so she also graduated with high honors during her senior high school at General de Jesus College. And now, she is studying at the Polytechnic University of the Philippines as a sophomore student taking up Bachelor of Elementary Education. At talaga namang beauty and brains ang ating speaker for today. Kaya naman, deserve niya ang inyong mga virtual clap reaction. Let us welcome Miss Gillian Crisostomo.
Hello, good morning. Thank you so much, Miss Kiana. Grabe yung intro, no? Talagang parang hindi makatotohanan. Anyway, good morning, future educators. Good morning po. Lalo na kay Dr. Corpus. Good morning po, ma'am. I am your speaker, Gillian Crisostomo, for today's webinar entitled Social Science Theories and Their Implications to Education. Next po. Ayan. So, simulan muna natin kung ano ba ang social science theories. So, we all know that we are part of the society. The people, the families, the education, everything around us is part of the society. We all have functions to portray for the society to work well. So now, ang bibigyang linaw natin kung ano nga ba ang mga social science theories at kung paano ba ito nakakaapekto sa ating edukasyon. So, social science theories are the ideas that concerns to the welfare, happenings, and situation of the society that we live in. So, base sa nakikita nyo, there are 3 social science theories. And these are the structural functionalist theory, the conflict theory, and the symbolic interactionist theory. Next po. Yan. So now, ano nga ba ang connection ng society sa education? Dito na papasok yung first theory natin, no? Yung the structural functionalist theory. So si Herbert Spencer, the proponent of the structural functionalist theory, views society as a system of interconnected parts to each other with unique function. The parts have to work together for societal stability and balance. Sabi niya, malawak ang society. Marami itong mga parts. Kasama na rin ang educational institutions sa part na ito. Connected ang society sa education because it is one of the parts to complete the society. So he also stated that society is compared to the human body with different but interrelated parts performing different functions. So just as the human body has many parts, society has different but interrelated components then, such as the family, the state, the school, the church, mass media, economics, kahit ano pa yan, part yan ng society. So sabi niya, this must coordinate and collaborate for society to function well. If one part of the human body does not function, the whole body is affected. In the same way, when one component of the society do not do its part, society will not function well too. So, sabi niya, the overall health of the society depends upon the health of each part and structure. So, in other words, ayan, palawakin pa natin yung sinabi ni Herbert Spencer. Sabi niya, ang society parang katawan ng isang tao, binubuo ng mga parts. At ang parts na tinutukoy niya dito ay ang education, economy, business industries, school, church, and so much more. Kung ang isang part na ito ay hindi magpa-function ng maayos, for example, kung ang education natin ay nakakaranas ng isang education crisis, apektado ang pamilya, business, and other parts of the society kasi nga, sabi ni Herbert Spencer, they are interrelated to each other that results whether the society is doing well or not. So, kagaya nga ng proponent ng ating theory, sabi niya, kung ang puso ng isang tao ay huminto sa pag-pump or sa pagtibok, syempre damo yung buong parts ng katawan natin dahil hihinto rin ito sa pag-function. Siguro, try mong alisin yung puso natin or yung puso ng ibang living organisms. Tingin nyo, mabubuhay pa kaya? Sige, para sa akin kasi it's not. So, hindi na. Kagaya naman ng tulad naman ng puso natin, ayan, napakalaking role ng education to contribute to building a well-balanced society. Yan. Maraming sinabi si Herbert Spencer. So, bigyan ko pa kayo ng isang example base sa theory niya. Sabi niya, there is peace and stability in society if families do their part in bringing forth children, nurturing and socializing them. If education or schools effectively transmit knowledge, values, and skills, if politics governs citizens well, if economics takes care of food production, distribution of goods and services, and if religion strengthens the moral fiber of the members of the society. So ayan, nakita natin na lahat talaga ng parts ng society may kanya-kanyang role. Kumbaga, may domino effect ang bawat isa kasi alisin mo ang education. Paano na lang matututo ang mga bata na magbasa? Paano na lang magkakaroon ng broad understanding ang bawat tao? Yes, we acknowledge that experience is also a foundation of knowledge. Yes, however, education can broaden our knowledge and can give us a better understanding about the society and about the world. So, pa-next po, ang daming sinabi ni Herbert Spencer, no? Ayan, so now, ano naman ang connection ng structural functionalist theory in relation to education? Ayan, functionalist, ayan, yung mga taong naniniwala sa theory na ito, of course, tulad ni Herbert Spencer, he believes that structural functionalist theory of education focuses on how education serves the needs of the society through the development of skills, encouraging social cohesion. So the role of school is to prepare the students for participation in the institution of the society, which means that sa school tayo hinuhubog upang maging aware tayo sa nangyayari sa ating society. Sabi niya, kaya mayroon tayong mga courses na about social studies to awaken the civic responsibility of the students. So through education, nagiging critical thinkers tayo. Mas lumalawak yung knowledge natin about sa lipunan. Nalalaman natin kung ano nga ba ang dapat gawin para maging maayos ang ating society. Nakikita natin yung mga problems at kaya nating makilahok sa paggawa ng solusyon because that is the essence of education, sabi ni Herbert Spencer. So, we learn from school to become better individuals and to become better citizens to achieve the balanced society. So, aside from learning, yan, other definition pa ni Herbert Spencer, aside from learning the features and parts of the society, ang education, concerned din ito sa socializing or by socializing people by bringing together from different backgrounds, which is true, which is correct. Through education, we learn to socialize with other beings. We can make friends. We can make a group no matter what background we have. So, sabi niya, if there is socialization within the people in schools, in education, the society is satisfied because the socialization is the other part of the society. So, di ba na-discuss natin kanina, ang society ay maraming parts. Isa ang education and of course, isa ang socialization. So now, to give better understanding sa connection ng structural functionalist theory, bibigyan ko na lang siguro kayo ng mga example pa. So, sabi niya, marami kasi siyang sinabi si Herbert Spencer na view niya ang education na napakalaking gampanan talaga sa society. Sabi niya, for example, para i-claim yung sinabi ni Herbert Spencer, in this contemporary period, in this modern world, we all know that technology is circulating all around the world. Yan. So the school, ayan, papasok na yung education, papasok na yung school. Gagawin niya, yung function niya bilang makapagbigay ng technological skills sa mag-aaral kasi alam ng education, alam ng school na pagkatapos magamit ng or magkaroon ng knowledge ang student sa technological skills, magagamit niya ito kahit na makapagtapos na siya sa isang school, kahit na-graduate na siya. Alam natin na isa na sa hinahanap na qualification ngayon sa job ay dapat at least may alam sa technological skills. So, yun yung sinasabi ni Herbert Spencer. Tinuturuan tayo or hinuhubog tayo ng mga skills para magamit natin sa society, para sa ikauunlad ng ating society. So, bigyan ko pa kayo ng isa pang example. Nung mga nakakalipas na buwan, nito lang, umingay yung Let the Earth Breathe, Save the Earth, Earth is Dying, yung mga ganyang hashtag na kumalat sa social media. So, in the perspective of the functionalist, may gampanin ang education dito sa mga issue ng lipunan, sabi niya. Kaya naman, meron tayong mga environmental lessons na dinidiscuss sa curriculum kasi matutugunan noon ang isa sa problema ng ating lipunan. Dahil ang theory na ito, see the education as a beneficial contribution to an ordered society. Please take note on this na ulitin ko lang. Sabi ni Herbert Spencer, they see this theory as this education as a beneficial contribution for us to have an ordered society. So next, please. Ayun. Ano nga ba ang purposes ng education? Ayon sa mga functionalist, yan, bakit ba tayo nag-aaral? Para saan ba? Para sa sarili nilang balansin. Yan. These questions will be answered by the purposes of schooling according to the functionalist. So we have 4. First is the intellectual purposes. Ayan. Acquisition of cognitive skills, inquiry skills. Ayan. Again, through education, mas nahuhubog ang kaisipan natin, of course, at mas nade-develop ang cognitive skills natin to think critically at makapag-engage tayo sa mga solutions na pwedeng makakontribute sa ordered society. Kasi yun ang goal natin, magkaroon ng ordered society. So second is the political purposes. Yan, educate future citizens, promote patriotism, promote assimilation of immigrants, ensure order, public civility, and conformity to laws. Yan, of course, hindi pwedeng mawala ang role ng government and political education. Remember, we have history class. political, governance, and citizenship class. At na-discuss din sa NSTP natin under CWPS kung paano ba maging mabuting mamamayan at to become aware on nationalism, patriotism, and civic awareness. So, ang pangatlong purpose natin kung ba't tayo nag-aaral ay economic purposes. It prepares the students for later work roles, select and train the labor force needed by society. And majority of us, pagka-graduate, magtatrabaho na. And even now, we have working students. Saludo tayo sa kanila. So, through schooling, tinatrain tayo ng education para mas maging handa tayo sa industriyang papasukin natin. Kaya naman, ang education talaga ay nakikita ng mga functionalists as a very important role that reflects to the societal needs. So, and the last purpose kung ba't tayo nag-aaral is the social purposes. It promotes a sense of social and moral responsibility, serve as a site for the solution or resolution of social problems, supplement the efforts of other institutions of socialization, such as the family, the church, and other parts. So, in other words, for us to socialize, ayan, nabanggit ulit kasi yung social. So, of course, may socialization. Or bago tayo makipag-socialize sa iba, tinuturo muna sa school ang tamang values para makipag-usap tayo sa pamilya man, sa kaibigan na natin, or sa ibang tao. Kaya naman, nagiging effective ang socialization kung alam natin ang morality at pakikipagkapwa-tao. Tulad na lang ng mga tinuturo sa atin sa edukasyon ng pagpapakatao nung high school para magkaroon tayo ng matiwasay at ma-enhance yung pakikipagkapwa-tao natin to other people. So, yep, those are the 4 purposes of schooling based on the functionalist. Ulit, we have the intellectual purposes, political purposes, economic purposes, and the social purposes. And kung mapapansin ninyo, yung 4 na yan ay kasali sa curriculum natin na mayroon tayo ngayon. Kaya nadaanan natin bawat purposes na yan. And that is how the structural functionalism relates in education. Next po. Ayan, let's move on sa second theory, which is the conflict theory. Ayan, proponents of the conflict theory see the purpose of education as maintaining social inequality and preserving the power of those who dominate society. Ayan. Conflict theorists examine the same function as education as the same way of functionalist. The main difference is that functionalists see the education as a beneficial contribution to an ordered society. So nakita natin kanina, no, yung structural functionalist theory na sinasabi nila na malaki at maganda ang role ng education para mahubog ang isang tao na magkaroon ng isang ordered society. So dito, while the conflict theorists see the education system as perpetuating the status quo by dulling the lower classes into being and remaining obedient workers. So, sa theory na ito, tinitingnan ng mga theorists yung point of view ng mga functionalists. Tinignan nila yon, inaral nila yon. However, they believe that hindi lang naman daw puro beneficiary yung ginagawa ng education sa society. So, ayan, in this conflict theory, or the theorists recognize the other side of education to the society. So, kung ang structural functionalist ay more on positive impact of education, ito naman conflict theory, kinriticize nila yung structural functionalist na meron din namang negative sides ang education. So, naniniwala sila na ang education can also seen as negative and inequality to the society. So, there are many points na sinabi ang conflict theorist, whereas they can see education, the social inequality. So they also find potential conflict between any groups where inequality exists, like racial, gender, religious, political, economic conflict. So theorists or they note that unequal groups usually have conflicting values and agenda. So iba-iba daw ang agenda nila that causing them to compete against one another. For example, sa usaping gender, we are all aware that iba-iba ang gender. So we have man, woman, LGBTQIA+. So marami. However, bakit hindi pa rin mawala-wala ang gender discrimination? Dito napapasok ngayon ang conflict theory dahil sabi nga, kahit na ang schools ay tinatalakay ang gender education, nagle-lesson about sa gender, hindi mawala-wala ang stereotyping na kapag babae, mahina, kapag lalaki, bawal umiyak kasi strong sila, kapag gay, ina-underestimate ang kakayahan, and so on. So we cannot deny the fact na mayroong ibang tao na makagraduate or naging parte naman ng education, pero homophobic pa rin. So that is how the conflict theory believes education do not only provide benefits. If there is a positive outcome, may mga negative circumstances din. Next, please. Ayan, ngayon let's broaden the view of conflict theory. Ayan, how proponents of the conflict theory regard in education. So, according to them, education is not a truly social benefit or opportunity as seen by the functionalist. Ayan, kinontra na nila yung functionalist, no? Rather, education is a powerful means of maintaining power structures and creating a docile workforce for capitalism. Ito yung tinatawag na nila na hidden curriculum dahil na hindi nakikita ng mga functionalists itong negative result ng education. Yan, conflict theories believe that education is a powerful means for capitalism, kung saan ang nangyayari ay kapag daw galing ka sa lower class, ang ending, employee ka. At aabusuhin ng pagiging laborer mo dahil we all know na more labor means more income para sa mga capitalist. So, this is where the connection of education to social inequality dahil naniniwala ang mga conflict theorists na ang education ay hinuhubog ang mga students to become developed and controlled workers ng mga capitalist. So yan, nakarating yan sa mga structural functionalists natin. May rebat sila. Sabi nila na they assert that if school teach adherence to policies, obedience to rules, and respect for person including authorities, punctuality and honesty, and civil rights, it is because they are very principled, crucial to a democratic way of life. Ayan. Ginagawa lang ng school kung ano ba ang rules and regulation at sinusunod ito ng mga students. So, functionalists strongly disagree sa sinabi ng conflict theorists na ang students daw from lower classes ay made to be controlled workers by the capitalists. Dahil functionalists believe that obeying and having a principled life does not mean that they want to be controlled. They are just persons who are adhere the policies dahil yun naman talaga ang tama. Ayan, sabi nila, ang paggawa ng tama ay hindi nangangahulugan na hinahayaan natin yung sarili natin na kontrolin tayo. So, makikita natin yung pagkakaiba ng point of view ng dalawang theories na ito dahil both of these ay may mga side na gustong ipaalam sa atin. So, nagkataon lang na si structural functionalist ay na-view niya ang education as in a positive way, while si conflict theory, na-view niya ang education para magkaroon ng social inequality. Next po. Ayan, third theory na tayo agad, and this is the last theory, no? The symbolic interactionist theory. The symbolic interactionist perspective, also known as the symbolic interactionism, directs sociologists to consider the symbols and details of everyday life. So, what these symbols mean and how people interact with each other. So, from the theory name itself, symbols and interactions ang nakakaapekto sa society at kung paano ito i-accept ng bawat tao. So, itong theory na ito ay hinahati sa tatlong principles. Yan. These are the individual's action depends on meaning. Second, different people may give different meanings to the same thing. And the last principle is meanings change as individuals interact with one another. Next, please. And unahin natin yung an individual's action depends on meaning. Sabi sa theory na ito, we act based on the meaning we give to symbols. Ayan. We all know that symbols can be action, objects, colors, words, anything. So these symbols is related sa relationship ng teacher and ng students. Sinasabi sa principle na ito na kapag ang isang guro ay naniniwala sa kakayahan ng kanyang or ng isang estudyante, mas malaki yung chance na mag-succeed dahil may sumusuporta sa kanya. Symbol in the means of words of encouragement sa students. Like, for example, may reporting na magaganap sa room. So, yung words na sasabihin ni teacher kay students, kaya mo yan, anak. Naniniwala ako sa abilities mo. So, those words are symbols na talaga namang nakakapag-boost ng confidence natin, knowing na may naniniwala sa atin and knowing na yung teacher natin yon. Kaya naman, ang resulta nito ay we will try our very best para ipakita kay teacher na capable tayo para sa isang task. Na kaya nating ma-achieve yung sinet ni teacher kasi naniniwala siya sa atin. So, that's how it works based on the first principle of symbolic interactionist theory. So, the second principle is different people may give different meaning to the same thing. So, dito naman sinasabi, sa pangalawang principle na ito, sinasabi na iba-iba ang pagtingin ng tao sa iisang bagay. Depende kung paano ito titingnan ng bawat tao, yung same na bagay na yon. For example, when teachers are strict, some students see it as an expression of care. So, sabi niya, others may feel rebel because they perceive teachers' behavior as limiting their moods and desires. So, which is true. Not to mention, pero I know meron tayo talagang na-encounter na mga strict teachers, professors, instructors, and so on. And depende ito sa students on how we will react sa pagka-strict nila. Yan. Some of us, mape-pressure sa klase niya, ganyan. Yung iba sa atin, makakaramdam ng takot, lalo na kapag napahiya, ganyan. And some of us, na ita-take ito as a motivation para mas mag-aral, mas mag-focus sa klase niya. So, as you can see, iisa yung thing. Ito yung bagay na yun ay strict si teacher. Pero ang naging outcome ay iba-iba kasi depende ito sa students kung paano nila ita-take yung bagay na yon. So, that is how the second principle works. May symbols na involved ba? Yes. The way na mag-talk ang professor is a symbol na strict siya. Nalalaman natin kung strict siya dahil sa kanyang pananalita. May interaction ba? Yes, dahil concern ito sa teacher and students relationship. Kaya naman, pasok itong second principle natin sa symbolic interactionist theory. Ayan. And the third principle, meanings change as individuals interact with one another. Ayan. Sinasabi rito ng isang overview natin sa isang bagay ay pwedeng magbago as we interact sa ibang tao. So, it is more like breaking the stereotype. Like, for example, sa teaching setup, bilang magiging teacher naman tayo soon, yan, pwedeng ang unang impression natin sa pagtuturo ay boring dahil puro aral, discussion sa students. However, as the days goes by, nagbabago na yung pananaw natin kasi na-experience na mismo natin yung real scenario na hindi naman pala boring ang pagtuturo. Kasi while discussing, na makikita mo na yung bata ay nakikinig sa'yo, nakikita mo na natututo siya or sila sa mga sinasabi mo. So that explains the third principle. Meanings change as individuals interact with one another. So those are the three tenets of symbolic interactionist theory. As we can see sa tatlong nabanggit na principle, nandoon palagi yung interaction ng isang teacher sa kanyang student. Palaging may symbol na kailangan i-interpret ng isang tao or ni student. So that's how symbolic interactionist theory is perceived in relation with education. Next po. Yan. Ano ba ang implications ng symbolic interactionist theory sa education or in teaching? So here it is. Alam natin na araw-araw may interaction si teacher at students sa school. Sabi rito, faulty communication can result from differences in the perception of the same events and symbols. Iba-iba ang tao, iba-iba rin ang pananaw ng bawat isa, of course. Kaya naman, may times na yung symbols na yan ay misinterpret ng students or ni teacher. For example, malakas yung boses ni teacher. Pwedeng isipin ng students na galit agad siya, pero ang totoo naman pala ay energetic lang si teacher na magturo. So, through online, kapag all caps lock yung typings, pwedeng ang pagkakaintindi ng iba or ni teacher ay iisipin niya na galit ka kasi ang pag-type mo, all caps. Pero ang totoo is that time, excited or happy ka lang naman kaya mo napindot yung caps lock. So, there are a lot of examples pa that can lead to misinterpretation because we vary on how we see things based on the symbols. So yan, bigyan pa natin ng another implication. Nabanggit ko kanina na nakaka-boost ng confidence kapag si teacher ay nagbigay ng words of encouragement or words of affirmation sa atin, di ba? But the problem is, or the implication is, hindi naman lahat nabibigyan ng attention para bigyan ng magagandang salita. Di ba? Yes. Next po. Ayan, dito na papasok yung dalawang studies na connected sa symbolic interactionist. Ayan, makikita niyo dyan si Robert Rosenthal and Leonore Jacobson na nag-study noong 1968. Ayan, nag-conduct sila ng research study tungkol sa expectation ni teacher at kung paano nito nai-influensyan ang performance ni students. Sabi ng researchers, kapag daw nag-expect ang teacher na magiging maganda yung outcome, gagawin ni students ang best niya para lang maabot yung expectation na yon. At ang tawag kapag na-meet yung expectation na yon ay self-fulfilling prophecy. Like for instance, sinabi ni teacher, alam kong kayang-kaya niyo yan. Expected ko na agad na magiging maayos yung webinar niyo. Ayan. At ang project niyo dahil magagaling kayo. Ayan. Ngayon, ang magiging response ni student, mas pagbubutihin pa niya lalo yung project niya para ma-achieve niya yung satisfaction ni teacher as well as ma-achieve niya sa sarili niya na magiging maganda yung project kasi nga may support tayo mula kay teacher. Ayan, dito na papasok naman si Ray Reese. Makikita niyo sa screen. And here is the implication. Yan. Nagsagawa naman si Ray Rist ng pag-aaral noong 1970 na maiuugnay or tumutugon sa study nila Robert at ni Lenore. Kung nagbibigay ng words of affirmation si teacher, guaranteed ba na lahat ng student ay nakakatanggap noon? So, ayan. Dahil sabi niya, may mga scenario na mayroong teacher, not to generalize, but there are some na mas binibigyang pansin daw ni teacher yung mga students na nag-e-excel sa class. Ayan. Lumabas sa study ni Mr. Ray Rist noong 1970 na the teacher assigned students to tables based on their ability. Ayan. The better students sat at the table closer to the teacher. The average student or the middle sat at the next table after the better students. And then kapag ang student daw ay weak, ay ilalagay sa pinakadulo. Yeah. That's how Rist concluded on his study na we can tell na hindi lahat ng students ay nabibigyan ng atensyon, and that is the sad part. Dahil ito pang nakalagay sa study niya. Monitoring the students through the year, Rist found that the students closer to the teacher received the most attention and performed better. So the farther from the teacher a student sat, the weaker that student performed. And the saddest part is that Rist also found out that students perceived as better learners came from higher social classes, while the weak students were from the lower social classes. So we can see the impact of having different status quo. So although, let me make this clear, hindi ito, yung study na ito ay hindi sa Pilipinas. Itong study na ito ay involved sa African and American people, of course, sa ibang bansa. But kahit nasa ibang bansa ito na inobserbahan, may mga ganitong scenarios din naman sa education system dito sa ating bansa. So, yan yung point of view ng mga symbolic interactionists. Pero, of course, may critics din itong natanggap. May kritiko. Next po. And witnesses of symbolic interactionist theory. So, sabi dito, this theory neglects the macro level of social interpretation or the big picture. Sabi, ang gusto lang naman iparating ng ating mga critics, ng mga kritiko natin na dapat tingnan natin yung bawat anggulo ng isang bagay. Di ba kanina sa may implications sa study ni Ray Rist, sabi nasa dulo daw palagi, nalileft behind or weak, ganyan, or hindi nakikipag-participate. So, ang gusto nilang iparating, for example, yung isang bata palagi siyang nasa dulo ng room, let's say na introvert, or yan, nahiyain, something like that. Siyempre si teacher, kapag nagdi-discuss at may questions, mostly ang tatawagin niya ay yung mga nagvo-volunteer na sumagot para magtuloy-tuloy ang discussion. So sabi ng mga kritiko, hindi naman din natin kasi pwedeng ibunton lahat kay teacher, lahat ng sisi. Kasi bakit hindi natin pwedeng ibunton kay teacher lahat ng sisi kung bakit hindi nagpa-participate si student. Yan yung pinopoint out ng critics ng symbolic interactionist theory. Kasi dapat tingnan din natin yung bigger picture or the whole picture. Baka may side na si student mismo yung ayaw niyang makipag-socialize. Baka ayaw niya talagang sumagot kasi nahihiya siya or whatsoever valid reason. So in other words, ang point of view ng critics ay tingnan natin itong buong picture. Baka kasi nakarap or nakafocus tayo sa center na hindi pinapansin ni teacher yung student, pero baka may point of view din naman sa student kung bakit niya ayaw makipag-participate kay teacher. Yan. Sabi nga nila, weaknesses can be turned into a strength. And that strength is us. Okay? That strength is us. Bilang magiging future educator tayo sa nalalapit na taon, mga bagong guro ng henerasyon, ngayon inaaral natin ang mga beliefs, principles, mga theories na ito at ang implications. Gagamitin natin ito ngayon. Yung kaalaman na mayroon tayo para tugunan ang mga nasabing implications kapag tayo ay nagtuturo na. Kung ngayon nakikita natin na may student na nasa dulo ng room, baka it's time for us na akayin natin sila at bigyan ng patas na education. Next po. Ayan. So before I end this discussion about sa role ng education sa society, let me leave this saying, education plays a huge part in our society. Educate ourselves not to look down at the people, but rather educate ourselves to create a change in our society for us to look up for the better future. Ayan. Nag-aaral tayo ngayon hindi para maging mapagmataas sa kapwa natin, kundi nag-aaral tayo para kasama natin silang iangat or itaas tungo sa isang maayos na lipunan. So that ends my discussion about the social science theories and its implication. Thank you so much once again. Always my pleasure. I am your speaker, Gillian Crisostomo, for today's webinar. Thank you so much for spending time with me. I hope na natuto tayo sa saglit na discussion natin. Thank you so much po, Miss Karen and Miss Kiana.
Thank you so much to our very great speaker, no? And talaga namang, I just wanna comment kasi
Ayan,
sobrang...
thank you so much, Miss Gillian. Ayan. Thank you so much, Miss Gillian, for that very knowledgeable talk. At alam ko na lahat tayo ay maraming natutunan. Kaya naman, kung mayroon kayong mga takeaways, feel free to comment sa ating chat box at babasahin natin yan maya-maya. Ayan. Napakahalaga nga naman talaga no, ng papel at napakalawak ng ginagawa ng papel no, ng edukasyon sa ating lipunan. Agree ka ba doon, partner?
Siyempre naman, partner, agree ako.
Ayan. So,
mapupulot and realizations na talaga namang maa-apply mo in real life. So, ayun nga, yung tumatak sa akin ay yung sinabi ni Herbert Spencer. Although madami talaga siyang sinabi, no? Pero ang tumatak talaga sa akin yung sinabi niyang yung society is interconnected with each other's part. And pag nawala yung isang part doon, hindi magpa-function ng maayos yung society. So, if you feel worthless, na ay bakit ba ako ganito, parang wala namang wala akong silbi sa mundo, ganyan, don't think like that kasi you are part of a society and especially that you are a future educator, sobrang laki ng part na mabibigay mo sa society. Maaaring ikaw yung maging best teacher na maging best teacher for the students, ganon. Tapos makapag-inspire ka ng mga students, and without you being a teacher, pwedeng hindi mag-function ng well yung society. Kasi kung walang teacher, walang magtuturo. So, sino magtuturo sa mga students, di ba? Ayun. So, ang dami ko talagang napulot na learnings sa ating webinar for today. And thank you so much, Miss Gillian. Ayan.
ayan. And meron tayong isang takeaways dito na mula kay Princess NERIO. And according to her, this will be a great help for us since juries helps in decision making with regards to factors affecting a certain community, as wrong decisions often result from inadequate knowledge of the structure and other peculiarities of the society. These wrong decisions may have a far-reaching impact on people's lives. And in addition, addressing societal problems requires decision makers to have a fair knowledge of the complications and their. Yeah, thank you so much, Miss Princess NERIO, for sharing your take.
Ayan, thank you so much sa ating takeaway for today. And dahil dyan, dahil nga, sabi ko nga kanina, very great ng ating speaker, para ating i-honor ang ating speaker, nag-prepare po kami ng Certificate of Recognition. So, allow me to read the citation. Certificate of Recognition is hereby given to Gillian Crisostomo for sharing her invaluable knowledge as the resource speaker in the webinar, Social Science Theories and Their Implications to Education. Given this, sorry, hindi po na-edit na, but given this 19th day of May 2022 via Zoom, signed by our course professor, Dr. Rosalie A. Corpus, and our president, Ms. Joanne V. Aton. And also, we also have a certificate of participation given to our participants. Ayan. So, thank you so much for actively participating sa ating webinar. Ayan. At dahil dyan, talaga namang ang ganda ng talk natin ngayon. Nag-enjoy tayo sa talk, kaya naman ngayon mag-enjoy din tayo sa isang special number na inihanda ng Miss Marla Garcia. So, panoorin po natin ito and
So ayun, Be the Fam, first part pa lamang yan ng ating talakayan at marami-rami pa tayong pag-uusapan today. So let's take a break first and listen to the song produced by Group 3.
Soul is a lost, and the truth is it's hiding.
Ayan. O, di ba? Kitang-kita naman na hindi lang beauty and brains ang mga BED students, kundi sobrang talented din. Siyempre naman, manang-mana tayo sa ating advisor, o di ba? Isang ano nga dyan, virtual clap react naman para sa ating special number. Ayan, thank you so much sa inyong mga virtual clap reaction. Ayan. So, ayan nga, dahil nag-enjoy tayo sa talk, tapos nag-enjoy pa tayo sa special number, talaga namang masasabi natin na ka-enjoy-enjoy talaga ang mga BED students. Di ba, partner?
Tama ka dyan, partner, no? Kaya naman, super proud ako, no? Na ako ay napabilang BED. And so, let's move on. Let me remind you na tayo po ay magkakaroon ng quiz at evaluation via Google Forms. Isiset po yan mamaya sa ating GC.
Yan. So, don't forget po na magsagot ang mga isasend naming mga forms sa GC mamaya para din magkaroon po kayo ng Certificate of Participation. Again, once again po, thank you so much for listening to our webinar for today. I hope na marami po kayong napulot na lessons na pwede nating ma-apply in our real life. Thank you so much, guys!